Hey everyone, far cry from yesterday when I was able to, I was unable to start at the time I wanted to start because I had a very important phone call to take and make. Hey Barry, how are you? Can you hear me? I'm testing out, well it's not, I'm beyond testing it. I'm actually using, in the heat of battle, my new clip-on mic. Hey, can you hear me? But can you hear me? Hello, Richard from Seattle. Can you all hear me? Can you all hear me? Can everybody hear me? You can hear me. Awesome. Awesome. Now, does my voice sound louder than before, or can you tell a difference? Because I've got my, oh cool, I've got my mic right here. Yep, that's right. I finally broke down and got a mic. I had to drive a distance to get it, but I got one. Awesome, loud and clear. I love it. Thank you. Thank you for the thumbs up as well. A little louder? Are you saying that it's a little louder than before, or I should speak a little louder? I'm a little confused, Barry. Are you saying it's a little louder than before? Or I'm not quite understanding what you mean there. I'm waiting for, what do you mean? Sounds good to you? Sounds good? Awesome. Sounds good. Oh, it's better than before, says Barry. Yes, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I'm loud enough. Do you want me to scream? Yeah, I finally got a lab. Hey, you know what? I finally got a lavalier light mic. That's what this is. It's a clip-on. And I bought it at Best Buy, and because where I am, it was easier said than done to get one, because, thank you, Go Warriors, thank you. It was easier said than done to get one because the Best Buy that was near our house has since closed, and you have to basically drive out, you know, a distance to get it, and you know, yeah, the relocation fee was always that. That thing, yeah. But anyway, hey, how you doing? How are you? Now, if you're wondering what I'm doing here, I'm actually going about setting up the watch page and making sure that your internet experience is a good one. Because if I have the iTunes open and I have the other applications open, it tends to sap away from the internet juice that powers what goes on your end and my end on YouTube, and it just makes the experience kind of sluggish for everybody, right? So, hey LMO, how are you? So I'm working to make this a better and better experience, starting with the sound. I want to make absolutely certain that everybody can hear me Bing. And so you're still waiting on meet and greet? That will happen. Hey Angus, I've been quite literally dialing for dollars, and love to have you as an investor as well. Zenny62 Media always can use more investors. In case you're wondering, this is all quite standard. It's called equity crowdfunding, and it started. Hey, how you doing? It started. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you. It started with the Jobs Act of 2013, which gave rise to all these equity crowdfunding sites. And now there are sites that are allowing one to put their company on it and then trade, and then investors can trade their shares in the secondary market. This is still nascent, but it exists. And that's the next step for me as I gain investors. Because I don't want you just to invest money and have it sit there and then just wait and go, okay, Zinni, when is this going to get acquired? When is my money going to churn? Right? So on the other hand, think of it this way. When NFL owners buy teams like the Raiders, or did I just say that? Or the Dallas Cowboys or the Dallas Mavericks, their investment consistently outperforms the S&P 500. So hopefully, you know, I can deliver that kind of performance to you with Zenny62 Media. That's my objective. So, all right. Let's get started here. I'm waiting for everybody to come in. We got 16 already. Before I start on the excuse me. Before I start, I have some announcements to make. Today, Thursday, I was going to say tomorrow, but it is Thursday. Or, well, if you're on the West Coast, it's tomorrow. It is a big day. In terms of guests, I have 3 guests tomorrow. 3. If all goes according to Hoyle. 3. At the first guest will be at 2 o'clock Eastern, which will be 11 o'clock in the morning Pacific. His name is Greg McConnell, and he is the head of an Oakland organization called Jobs and Housing Coalition. And we're going to talk about Oakland politics and how the mayor is doing. So it's a different slant with a guy I've known for a while. I'm really looking forward to it. And his name is Greg McConnell, and it's 2 o'clock here on the East Coast. And here from the Pacific, 11 o'clock. And we'll be talking about Oakland politics for about 30 minutes, or as long as I can hold them on. Then at 8 o'clock, same night, 8 o'clock on the East Coast, which is 5 o'clock Pacific. That's right. I'm going to talk Comic-Con preview with my friend Kevin Betchelder, who is a national expert on, of all things, Winona Earp. That's right, the sci-fi TV show Winona Earp. So we met last year. He needed a roommate, so I was happy to oblige. I wasn't there much, but hit it off and just always keep in touch, you know. And you got to come here. Citron says a good series. Hey, 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern. We're going to talk Winona Earp, a preview of what to expect from the Winona Earp panel at Comic-Con, as well as Comic-Con 2017 from Kevin's perspective. All right? All right? Please, thank you. And then on top of all that, all right, on top of all that, I mean all that, that night at 9 o'clock, if all goes according to Hoyle, 9 o'clock Pacific, okay? Excuse me. 9 o'clock Pacific. If all goes according to Hoyle, we'll have Russell Rivera on, who represents We Stand with Oakland. We Stand with Oakland is the funding arm for the Forever Oakland Raiders fans legal effort. So I've invited Russell to come on the show. Hopefully his Skype is working. And Russell is also an investor as well. So yeah, really looking forward to having Russell on to talk. So Jordan Yancey. Jordan says Lorenzo Ball, 36 points, 8 rebounds, 8 rebounds and 11 assists. Is that right? You almost had another triple-double. So what you're trying to tell me is that Lorenzo Ball is starting to ball. See, cobwebs are wearing off, right? The cobwebs are wearing off. And and so for those of you who are interested in investing before I continue, I'll put up the link. If you haven't done so before, or if you have, like Patrick, again. And this link I'm putting up is actually to the investor page. You can read it and then click over if you want to PayPal. All right. So this is the yeah, investor page there. And Blake is saying hello from the other side of the world. Were you in China? Where are you, Blake? You're in China? Where are you? Where are you? And okay, this is PayPal. And this is PayPal. I'm putting up the PayPal link. So don't worry, folks. I'm not going to bore you with this talk because I'm going to go right to the really juicy stuff in just one moment. I just want to get this out of the way so we can get to the really juicy stuff and go forward. All right. So it is, get rid of those pages, bring up this page, PayPal. Okay, and we're gone. All right. So now we're getting started. All right. Now, Australia. That's right. Australia. You were gonna bring Michelle Janicki on the show, right? I mean, I don't want to say I'm just kidding because I'm really serious. If you could do it, please, it would be fantastic. It would be fantastic. All right. Good day, mate. Okay, so let's talk. Let's talk. And how many of you just want to make sure that everybody is cool? Just want to make sure that everybody is cool. And you are. And it looks like everybody's getting a good. It keeps buffering. Is it buffering for you? Yeah, restart the computer because I had that problem as well. And oh, cool. I'm glad you like the mic. I'm glad you like the mic. All right. Now, folks, later today is the Las Vegas Stadium Authority meeting. And that's the other big deal, okay? So the Las Vegas Stadium Authority meeting starts at 1 o'clock Pacific, which would be 4 o'clock Eastern. And you can watch that here at Zenny 62. So full day, folks. We got Greg McConnell at 2 o'clock. We have the Las Vegas Stadium Authority meeting at 4 o'clock. We've got Kevin Betchelder and Comic-Con at 8 o'clock. This is Eastern. And then at midnight Eastern time, we have Russell Rivera talking Raiders. We stand with Oakland. So that's a lot of Zenny 62 shows with guests and news. But what I'm talking about right now is the Las Vegas Stadium Authority meeting. And so, which is in the meeting info. But before I continue, I have a quick. I'm going to go over your questions and comments right now, and read those and see if I can answer them and get your statements out in the open. All right. So Joshua informs us that his son Matthew, who is in ICU, is coming home tomorrow, Lord willing. And Mr. Flores, thank you for your investment, 20. Thank you very much, Mr. Flores. Mr. Flores and Mr. Blackman, thank you very much. Thank you. But Joshua, that almost makes me cry. That is, wow, that is great news. For those of you who don't know, Joshua's son is 2 months old and had, I believe, a respiratory allergy. And was, hey John, how are you? John Marks as well as John. Guess what? Joshua's son is, Lord willing, coming home tomorrow, and you know he had respiratory. Thank you. Oh, Tay, much. You got it. Hey, Joshua. You know, as a person who's always wanted to be a dad and hasn't had the skies line up for me, you know, right, which implies all that stuff. My heart goes out to you because. There are few things more important in life than being a dad, right? So that's something else. I mean, really. And the other thing more important to being a dad is being good to your family, which encompasses being a dad, right? So there you go. John Marks says that's good. God bless Joshua and his family. ML's got 5 of those yellow things are. And you're right, welcome. And yeah, that is awesome. That makes all this worth it. Just doing this makes it worth it. That's fantastic. That really is. Yeah, God bless you. God bless you. And wow. Matthew is an honorary Zenster, Joshua. There you go. And yeah, John Marks said it best. Hashtag Joshua Strong. And we should Joshua Strong and Matthew Strong as well. So that's hand claps. And ML Scott's schooling me on the meaning of the emoji I just saw. What is that? It's hand claps. I get you. Yes. Matthew Strong. Wow. That's a great feeling. Hey Tater, how you doing? Tater, Joshua's son Matthew is coming home tomorrow, Lord willing, after a respiratory infection, I believe it was. Joshua adds these words of wisdom, does Mr. Stevens. He says, words of wisdom, Z, I was born 2 pounds premature, was not supposed to live or be able to have children. The Lord is always good. Yes, absolutely. 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 That is fantastic. Blake has to go. He just came. Hey, Blake, when you see Michelle Jenicky, tell her I got a seat right here for her, euphemistically, as a guest, okay? So, love to have her as a guest. Jabber, how are you? Jabber says, what should we expect tomorrow in Las Vegas Stadium Authority meeting? I'm going to get to that right in a moment. Joshua, hey, Jabber, where Joshua's Stephen's son Matthew was in ICU yesterday. Tomorrow, if all goes according to plan, he's coming home. So that's we're celebrating that before I move into the discussion of the agenda. So getting our priorities in line, you know what I mean? So that's what's happening. So Blake says, I will tell her to send a muskilly. Anyway, so Jabber gives a hand clap and a thumbs up. Now that I know what a hand clap looks like, thank you. Thanks, ML, for bringing me in line. And you're welcome, Joshua. Now, and how are you? Welcome, sir. Paul? Paul, you're coming back, or are you coming? You just got here, Paul. Stick around. Stick around. Steve Macy, haven't seen you in a while. Steve says, I've been gone for a little while now. How's Ruben doing? Ruben is not, Joshua Stevens says, any words of wisdom to you? The Lord has a different plan for you. Thank you. Wow, you can say that again. You can say that again. I'm discovering that. I don't know what that is. Although I do know part of that plan is I'm supposed to be here helping my mom. That much I know. Okay. And everything else radiates out from there, right? So, at any rate, hey, Go Warriors, I'll see you. And you guy will check out too. And Rowan. And yeah, I think I'm going to get to the Vegas question now that we've been able to appropriately congratulate Joshua on his great news. And but I have a question on that before I begin. How many of you know I'll answer this in a different way that's easy for you to answer. I'll ask this a different way that's easier for you to answer. Do you know who's on the Las Vegas Stadium Authority board? Just say yes or no. Because if I get a lot of no's, I'm going to give you a rundown so that you can know who's on the Stadium Authority. It's very important to know this. Steve Hill, no. I'm getting a lot of no's. I'm getting a lot of no's already. Everybody's like no's. Sea of no's. No. No, what's that? I was thinking about that song. No. How do you? Oh, that was. Actually, she was saying more, but that's another story. But anyway, I got you. Okay. No. All right. So first of all, I'm going to go to ground zero, and we're going to talk about who is on the board. And by the way, shout out to the people who made this lavalier clip-on mic I got at Best Buy. It's making all the difference in the world. So, all right. Here is my rundown. The board members. The first we start with, and rather than, bring you down and make you dizzy and all that stuff, well, you know what? Maybe I should bring you down and make you dizzy. Hey, Raider Scott, how are you? I'm going to walk you through. All right, bear with me here. I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to move you down here so that I can walk you through who's who, right? There it is. It starts with Stephen Hill. He is the chairman, okay? And his title is, he is the Governor's Office of Economic Development Executive Director. Hey, Tater, how you doing? Okay. And that's his bio, all right? I'm not going to bother reading the whole bio, okay? But that's his bio, all right? And that's Mr. Hill. And then there's Ike Lawrence Epstein here, He is the vice chairman. Stephen Hill's the chairman. Ike Lawrence Epstein is the vice chair here, okay? And this is what he looks like. This is Ike Lawrence Epstein, and he is, guess what? Senior Vice President, Chief Operating Officer, Ultimate Fighting Championship. You don't want to get in a fight with that guy, okay? You don't want to get in a fight with that guy, all right? So then we have, this woman is a legend in Las Vegas political circles. Her name is Jan Jones Blackhurst. Jan Jones Blackhurst was once the mayor of Las Vegas. You heard that. She was once the mayor of Las Vegas. Yes, look her up. By the way, I'm proud to say she and I are connected on LinkedIn. Although after I announced that, we may not be. But anyway, she is the Caesars Entertainment Executive Vice President. And note, no photograph, okay? She, that's all. No photograph and no bio. Because the idea is, if you don't know who she is, and you don't know the significance of her, then you don't know Las Vegas politics, all right? That's the idea. Jan Jones Blackhurst is best known for the political development of the Las Vegas Strip, among other things. And so her role as Caesars Entertainment Executive Vice President is as much honorary as it is reflecting of her talent. She's a legend. She's a true legend. Ken Evans is a face you may have seen. He is the Urban Chamber of Commerce president and a person who's made issue regarding the community benefits package and whether or not minorities will get their share and women and minorities will get their share in the project, okay? Then this is Dallas Hahn. Dallas Hahn is of the Nevada State Bank. He's president and chief executive officer. Let's read a little bit about him since little is known about him. He is chairman of Nevada State Bank, a division of ZBNA. Mr. Hahn took the reins of Nevada State Bank in 2007 as president, chairman, and CEO. He brings more than 30 years of commercial banking expertise and management, okay? And so there's more about him there. And this is actually a rather long bio. He's a graduate of Michigan State, all right? So this man, the next man here, is a legend. Bill, and a man that I personally admire. Bill Hornbuckle is the president of MGM Resorts International and a major political player in Las Vegas. He is a 40-year veteran of the gaming industry. He is president of MGM Resorts International, and he is the chief of construction design and development officer in charge of global expansion efforts for MGM. So if you're keeping score, that's two people from the gaming industry, Bill Hornbuckle and Jan Jones Blackhurst. Now, this is Mike Newcomb. And Mike Newcomb is the executive director of the UNLV Thomas and Mack Center. Okay. Well known in event circles in Las Vegas and Nevada. And he attended UNLV as well. So he has deep ties and concerns with respect to how UNLV is going to come out of this. This man is Tito Tiberti. He is head of Tiberti Construction. He's a former president, and he is served as president of Tiberti Construction Company from 1981 to 2009, and he was managing partner of the Tiberti Company. So basically, he is a well-known construction guy who's built or helped found and run the Barbary Coast Hotel, which I've stayed at, and the Gold Coast as well. So, and he's a graduate of USC. Oh, sorry about that. At any rate, something he and Ronnie Lott have in common. The next man is someone you may have seen, Tommy White. Tommy White is a number of things to different people. He is a mover, a shaker, and a builder. He is the longtime head of Laborers International Union Local 872. He is a very powerful political player. Laura Fitzpatrick is the Clark County Treasurer. Okay, so there you are. That has it. That's how the Las Vegas Stadium Authority Board shapes up. So if you're counting heads, you've got representatives. You have representatives from the gaming industry and the banking industry. If you consider the treasurer dominating the seats, but they all are political appointees. Okay, and they serve at the pleasure of the governor, the gaming industry, and other political persons. So that's how it lays out. Now, here's the thing. There is one person. Hey, Radio Kuko, how you doing? There's one person on there, and that's Tommy White, that has an interesting background and relationship with the black construction community, which, given the history, I think is worth noting. And I will only say, okay, look, basically Mr. White is accused, and this is a public accusation in black and white, of, I would say, well, assaulting a certain member of the black construction industry back in 2011, a charge he denies. He denied it then, and still does. And he has been at the center of a long-standing animosity between black contractors and Las Vegas union representatives. Well, specifically himself in Union 872. If you followed the Stadium Authority meetings, you may have seen some of that. Okay, so Paul's Vinegar says Las Vegas is a bad deal. I have no trust in Mark Davis. He'll try to find another city to go to. If that's the case, he should sell the team and stay in Oakland. LX9933, hey, how you doing? And how are you, Paul, again? Does anyone know if the lawsuit is to keep the name and colors? If so, we might never see the Raiders team name in Sundays. That is not finalized by any means. There were two organizations. First of all, it started with CBS 5 in the Bay Area, and that reported the whole name and colors approach to the lawsuit before anybody did anything. And they thank you, Paul, for your contribution. Thank you. So we got thank you very much. So the bottom line is that prior to Jim Quinn and those guys actually meeting, Channel 5 issued speculation based on the Cleveland approach in a very sloppy news report that if you read it and you weren't familiar with the issue, you would say, oh, they're going to take the name like Cleveland. Well, no. Because what they did, they being Channel 5 and others, they set up this straw person argument. Oh, they're going to use the Cleveland approach, and that's not going to work in court. Well, they're not going to use that approach. Okay, what they're going to use is not finalized, but it's not that approach. So there you go. All right. And as Coog Snipe says, we are still in exploratory phase. No lawsuit yet. More will come out soon. Thank you, Coog. And or I should say, Champion Bowler. And Jabber says Al Davis changed the colors so what they are today. And Rodriguez, that's true. Rodriguez Teresa says, welcome, says there's no expansion team in the future. 31 owners in Goodell we have no choice, no chance. I really believe we are done. Rick Rice says, you the man, Zany, to which I say, you the man, Rick Rice, you the man. So, and Rick Rice, join our investor club. Love to have you. In fact, love to have you. If that would be something that would be fantastic. Now, Donis has made it. Donis. So I hope that answers your question, Alex. And John Mark says Vegas is a bad deal for us, and that's what I think, and he is right. And Jabber says sound is thank you. So everyone loves the sound. That's the one thing we'd all agree on. The sound is like, hey, the mic. I listen. I aim to please. So Richard Lucero says, hey, Zinni, I just got called into work overtime. I usually listen to you at the house around this time. Go Raiders. Hey, thanks, man. And hey, if you can try to tune in later, please do, right? And thank you, LX. Thank you. LX says, I'm down with keeping the Raiders in Oakland forever, but taking the team name and colors is selfish. You know, my feeling is that, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, I believe that the battle should be to simply take the team, period, by eminent domain or damages or what have you. And I know some people say, well, eminent domain doesn't work, but actually it has never been tested in the way the Supreme Court allowed us to do it, because the Supreme Court said, hey, look, you can get the Raiders by eminent domain if you actually read the case in 82, but you have to go to the lower court, City of Oakland, you have to go to a lower court and present an argument, okay? And so the city's argument was that it was a public space, which didn't fly. But today, get this, now I'm going to get back to reviewing the agenda and everything. I want you to keep this in mind. Between the time the Raiders returned to Oakland in 95 and today, they have gained $1.033 billion in advertising revenue the city of Oakland did not have to spend for attention heaped upon it every time someone says Oakland Raiders as opposed to, you know, Las Vegas Raiders or anything else, or just Raiders. Or, you know, that's huge. Huge. So, thank you, John Marks. Thank you. Now, I'm going to go over the agenda right now. And Joshua, thank you for the contribution. Thank you for the investment, Joshua. Thank you. And we've got Joshua. I'm going to make a note of this on my sheet. So we've got Joshua, Patrick, and Henry, and Paul. Yeah, so we've got who made investments tonight. So thank you. So O'Connor or Floyd? You know what? I'm sorry. Floyd Mayweather is going to crush Conor McGregor. He is just going to... He's going to grind him in the... That's what's going to happen, okay? That's what's going to happen. Floyd Mayweather is just going to grind him in the mincemeat. Watch. You want to get me stirred up? Let's talk about that. Well, I'm going to go back to the stadium thing, but I'm just saying. He's going to... What is it the late Burgess Meredith would have said? You're going to murder him, Rock. You're going to murder him. You're going to murder him, Rock. Oh, boy. Am I taking bets on that? Gentlemen's bets and gentleperson's bets. Bragging rights bets. In other words, if I'm right, I get to say that I'm right, and if I'm wrong, you get to tell me that I'm wrong. How's that? So, how's that? Yeah. Sorry, I'm just making these notes. And then Paul, and then we had Henry, Paul, and Blackman, Patrick Blackman, and I believe James, right? James. Okay, so we had those four, I believe. Yeah. So let me go back and make sure that I got that. Joshua. I'm sorry, Joshua. Josh. Stevens. Hey, Joshua. Do this for me, please. Send me. This is my email. Send me your email, okay? Zenny@zenny62.com, so that I can send you back the share report, okay, Joshua? Because I don't have you on the list, all right? Okay, now moving along. People who know boxing know Floyd is going to win, says Big Eiffel. Jabber says, Rick, I'm neither, and I'll take Floyd all day. And I want Mayweather to win. I just think McGregor is stepping out of his element, that's all. Now let me go back to discussing the agenda for the meeting. because that's what people want to talk about. So let's go back to do that. All right. Now I went through all the board of directors members for the Stadium Authority, and now I'm going to talk about. First of all, I want to heap some praise on Steve Hill. Steve Hill is a model of the modern economic development officer for government. I want you to study him. If you have a chance to watch tomorrow's meeting, I want you to study him. He's always even keel. He chooses his words carefully, yet he thinks quickly. And his economic development direction is nothing but aggressive. And he is a model for what Oakland should have in its economic development department right now. Yes, I did say that. I'm not saying steal him, but my point is that much of Nevada's current shape is due to Stephen Hill. He's been a long time steady player. He knows Las Vegas politics in and out, and he's been scandal free and has been able to mix with everyone of every stripe and yet not lose himself in the process. And I think that's the biggest compliment I can give a government official at that level. Am I an admirer of Stephen Hill through all this? Yes, I am. I'll get that out of the way. Yes, I am. So there you go. I mean, he is one of the few people who really kept this thing going when really it should have died a while ago. It really should have, okay? So I'm just getting that out of the way. Now let's talk about the agenda. And that is the Stadium Authority Media Agenda. That's July 13th. And it starts at 1 o'clock. Clark County Commission Chambers, 500 South Grand Central Parkway, Las Vegas, Nevada. Okay. And so I saw somebody had a comment I just want to get out of the way. And Rick Rice says, I'm black, but I'm always rooting for the underdog. Oh, hey, folks. We're all Americans. And we all need to come together as one. We are one America, all right? Now, Paul says, I have a question. If there's a good case of a lawsuit, and we are looking into taking the Raiders to court or the NFL or both. Well, Paul, the way it's set up, it's both, okay? It's now, having said that, is it possible to split the Raiders away from the NFL? And the answer is yes, okay? Yes, all right. Thank you, Barry. And I'll do. You say, why do I say that, or how can I prove that? Hold on a second. I'll show you how I can prove that. I'm looking for the place where I can actually plug in the speaker here, because this is something that I do want you to hear. All right. And I know I may have shown it before, but it bears seeing again. Excuse me. As why I say that. And once you see this, we'll discuss its significance in all of this. And then we'll go back to discussing the agenda, okay? So, Roger Goodell, Oakland Raiders, Zinni 62, Mark Davis. Okay, hold on a second. Yeah, this is it. This is a question. This is at the last year's Charlotte NFL Owners Spring League meeting, and I asked this question of NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell. I want you to listen to this, okay? This is it, all right?
And they'll all express, and this goes back the last 12 months, concerns that the Raiders are not negotiating with them in a way that they can trust. When I point out to them that the NFL relocation bylaws called for negotiating in good faith, they say they have no confidence in the National Football League's desire to police that. Can you clarify, because what's become behind closed doors a very big mess? Thank you.
Well, Zenny, listen, I think this has been a very transparent issue. I spoke to the mayor last night at 10 o'clock, so I'm in touch with her. I told her before if there are proposals or solutions that she can identify or that we can help them identify. We have given, from an ownership standpoint, another $100 million, $300 million to get a stadium built in Oakland. We believe in that market. I know Mark Davis does. But there has to be a solution that's developed. It's not just on us. There's got to be cooperative agreement to try to find that solution. It's been a long time coming, as you know, Zach. This isn't something that started 12 months ago. This has been a long time that we've been seeking a solution in Oakland. And it's time to get to that. And we will play our part, and I know the Raiders will also.
Is they concerned that Mr. Davis is perhaps playing his own game and not following anybody else? And this has to do with Las Vegas. UNLV President Lynn Jessup releasing a statement where they went off, being the Raiders, to visit them. The city of Oakland had no knowledge of it. The Raiders told the city of Oakland, we're not going to meet with you. They didn't tell them about Vegas. They said, wait until we deal with Houston, meeting with Los Angeles. Then they said, wait until we have a new lease agreement signed, which happened on the 27th of April. So there are a number of people, council members on down, city attorney's office, they're really concerned that the Raiders are not playing fairly with them.
Well, Danny, I take a different view of that. The Raiders have been very open about the challenges to get a stadium built. It's not fair to shift all of that responsibility to the Raiders. They bear some. But public officials, the private sector, the Raiders, and the NFL, we all have a responsibility. It's a shared responsibility. And it's not one from standing there and saying it's somebody else's responsibility. We all have to work together to find that solution.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you.
Okay, so thanks, Barry Lee. Thank you for that. And I present that because in that answer that Commissioner Goodell gave to me, he said, look, the Raiders bear some of the blame. And that's quite different than the outside mainstream media picture where the NFL says the Raiders did everything that they could, right? Remember that? Okay? If the Raiders did everything they could, why would the commissioner say, hey, the Raiders bear some of the blame? All right? So, in fact, I think I need to send this to Ronnie Lott. Remember that whole deal? I'm going to keep that in mind. So, now let me get to your question. I believe... my god sister is, right now, she's supported behind the scenes. Candidly, we haven't talked since... We have not physically talked, since after the Las Vegas vote. It's been that long. And for reasons that I alluded to, and I'm not going to spend time going back over right now, but I do know from other people that she is silently supported behind the scenes of the Oakland Raider coalition, okay, including Forever Oakland. And I want to say something about that, okay, because I know there's some people who are with other organizations in the coalition who may be concerned over, who's in charge. But I'm going to say something to you. Of all the Oakland Raider boosters, of all the organizations, there's one person that has the best relationship with Mark Davis, and that's Godfather Grizz, okay? And so we all have a role to play in this, and we all have to play together and not separate. But Godfather Grizz has a 20-year relationship. I did this because I was thinking plus relationship with Mark Davis. I've seen it in action. When we were at the NFL owners meeting in Phoenix, it was Mark Davis that came up to Godfather Grizz after the Las Vegas vote. You hear me? After the Las Vegas vote, okay? And said, we have to talk. And Godfather Grizz, Greg says, well, what do you mean? And he says, well, about the future. And Grizz says, what future? You're trying to leave you're leaving for Las Vegas. And he goes, no, the future. He said, there's no future other than the Raiders in Oakland. He said that, okay? And he goes, no, let's talk about the future. But Mark Davis was literally begging Godfather Grizz to talk to him, okay? Mark Davis does not do that for a lot of people. I was there. We were sitting down at the couch in the lobby. Grizz is over here, okay? And Grizz and I talked about afterward in an interview. He was over here. Davis appeared like a shark from left to right. You know, I wasn't even focused on this. All of a sudden, like, there's Mark Davis. And you'd say, why did I put my video camera on him? Because sometimes when you do that with some people, they don't want to have certain things on camera, so they stop talking, right? And that's why I didn't do it. I thought it was more important to let their communication play out, and we could talk about it afterward. And that's what happened. But the bottom line is that we all have to understand where our values are in terms of who's valuable doing what, rather than some people getting jealous about what others are doing and vice versa, or trying to say to another person, you shouldn't say X, Y, or Z. We have to be as one on this. That's the only way that Raider fans are going to achieve any success from this. Okay? So anyway, Eric, I don't think as far as registering the Las Vegas in 98, that's got nothing to do with a desire to relocate. I mean, how do you know that he didn't register such a trademark in other cities? All right. How do you know he didn't do it for any other city that might have been a candidate for the Raiders? Maybe he did it for Rancho Cucamonga. Maybe he did it for Carson. I would be surprised if he didn't do it. So my point is, don't just accept at face value what you read. How do you know he didn't do it for other cities? He may very well have, which is, and I think it gets to another viewer's point. Hey, I don't want to be around when he's searching for the other city. What other city did they file a trademark for? It's a fair question, okay? So I don't accept that. Oh, that means he wanted to move to Vegas. That means he didn't want to stay, whatever. Because if that were the case, what Mark would have said in 2011, after the legendary Mr. Davis passed away, is he would have said immediately in 2011, Mark Davis would have said, I want to go to Vegas. He didn't say that. He said, we're looking at Los Angeles, okay? So my point is, if he were really that stuck on Las Vegas, if he were really so stuck on Las Vegas, this would have been singularly in his mind from, as they say on the street, jump, all right? He wasn't. So, no. So anyway, anyway, yeah. And Rick Rice, thank you, yeah. And Rick says, I didn't know about Grizz. Yeah, right. And so Jabber, as far as her hearing that I may run for mayor, she knows that, yes. Teresa Rodriguez says, I believe Oakland lied to the Davis family for 20 years on a stadium. How sad we are the only NFL franchise with no home. And Oakland never lied to the Davis family at all. I don't know where you're getting that from. I don't know, but look, I was economic advisor to Elihu Harris from 99 to 2000, from 1995 to 99. Prior to that, basically, I go back to 1993 with this stuff, okay? When I was a columnist for the Montclair, I was covering the news that the Raiders were going to return to Oakland, and according to Oakland Alameda County Coliseum Board President George Vukasin and Monty Poole, who was then with the Oakland Tribune, I broke the story that the Raiders were returning to Oakland from Los Angeles, and then I got the first question out when they were back, okay? And then I got a press credential, which gave me this media guide where I have Mark Bourdain with hair on, okay? So I've literally lived with this issue. The city of Oakland did not lie to the Davis family. Where that's coming from is an incorrect place. I'm not even going to give it value. It is simply wrong, okay? It is simply wrong. And if you want to offer up what you think is evidence to the contrary, and I believe I know what that would be, if you know what you're talking about, I know how to refute that like that, okay? So no, that's wrong. This is one thing I'm happy to litigate right here, okay? Absolutely not. So, so let's see here. Forever Oakland, yeah. And we've got Teresa says, Eric, well, you're wrong. Al was still running the show in 98. He knew maybe Oakland was making empty promises. But Oakland never made a promise in 98. We just got back. So, Teresa, what you're talking about, let me put it this way. You don't know what you're talking about. You do not know what you're talking about. The Raiders returned to Oakland in 95. and the Coliseum was completely finished and refurbished, and they played their first season that fall, all right, and an entirely new Coliseum. By 1998, we were in the second year of it. So you're telling me that after a $220 million renovation, we're supposed to build a whole brand new stadium for the Raiders right then and there in 98? You do not know what you're talking about. At all. Okay? At all. So, all right. So, Jabber says if Raiders move, hey, Rodriguez, hey, Teresa, if you keep spreading, if you're here to spread something false and not have a conversation, I'm going to personally block you. Okay? I'm not putting up with this. I was there. If you can't appreciate that, get off my channel. You understand? This is not for you to do that. I gave you a chance to present what you think is opposing, evidence to what I'm telling you about, and you don't do it. But you will not be allowed to spread false information on my channel just to get your jollies off. If you're back there laughing, I'm going to cut you off in 5 seconds. You got 5 seconds to play. All right? 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, you're gone. I'm tired of this. Okay? And my point is, it doesn't hurt people. It doesn't help people to do that. Plus, I don't even know if Teresa Rodriguez is really Teresa Rodriguez. She could be somebody else. So why should I feel anything? Bye-bye. It would be different if she had something she wanted to present. Like, let's just say she wanted to talk about, well, what about the lease issue and the problems there? That's something we could talk about. All right? But see, if you talk about the lease problems in 97, in fact, let me talk about that for a second, since I brought it up, all right? I remember getting a letter from Amy Trask, and this was, I want to say March of 1997. I want to peg it March 7th. That's just off the top of my head. And at the time, I was economic advisor at Elihu Harris, the mayor of Oakland, and Elihu gave me and so she gave me, Elihu gave me the run of everything from redevelopment to the Raiders. All right. And so here's the thing. Amy didn't like that we rejected, or we were, in her view, trying to force a deal with UMax to name the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum Stadium UMax Coliseum. Now, what's UMax? UMax is was a Japanese-based organization that produced scanners, like this Epson one I got over here. Scanners, okay? $19 million deal, which at the time, just to give you an idea of how management challenge we had been in that area, to be blunt, I'm talking about in terms of the JPA until recently with Scott. That $19 million naming rights deal would have been the best naming rights deal we ever had outside of Oracle Arena. Then, the ones we secured after that were piss poor, but I digress. There was an argument between the Raiders and the city of Oakland and the Oakland Football Marketing Association, okay, of which Jim Otto was on the board, represented the Raiders, over who found UMax. And there was a woman, a friend of mine to this day named Lynn Longmire, who had a binder this thick of all of the documents related to the UMax naming rights deal, because she claimed that she brought UMax to the attention of Jim Otto and the OFMA and the city of Oakland and the city manager, and Kofi Bonner was the interim city manager, and my friend going back to Cal in 1985. Okay, we go back that far from Cal planning school to present day. Okay, and I remember Kofi and I going to the Golden Bear, which is now called Room 389 in Oakland, all right, on 389 Grand Avenue, and talking about it. And he was saying, hey, look, you know, I don't want to pay. He was the interim city manager by that point. And he said that he didn't want to pay Lynn the 10% she claimed she was owed based on a verbal contract. All right? And so the Raiders were balking over it. And between all this stern and drum, Amy sent this a letter that expressed displeasure with the master lease agreement. Because we not only had that problem, you have to remember the PSLs didn't sell well. And so we had to basically restructure the entire naming master lease agreement, because the original agreement was such that the Raiders were supposed to own 51% of the Coliseum. But because of the fact that the PSLs didn't sell and the city and the county were on the hook, then president of the Oakland City Council, Ignacio de la Fuente, said, hey, it's our money now, and sought to realign the master lease agreement. So you had those two problems, okay? Now do you see why I blocked Teresa? Because what she was talking about had nothing to do with the truth. And on that basis, Amy wrote that letter, and the letter basically said that they were going to seek a new lease. Now, Dina McClain was then the executive director of the Joint Powers Authority, and she interpreted Amy's letter to mean that they were going to try to get out of the lease and relocate and just move. I didn't see it that way. But I got overruled. Elihu, the mayor, was out of town. He was in China. And so then City Attorney Jane Williams and JPA head Gina McClain got together, and they elected to sue the Raiders. And that was how we got into a lawsuit against the Raiders. So folks, I was there. So that's why I get insulted when someone tries to come here and tell me what they think is going on without asking or without having a conversation. All right. So there we go. All right. So anyway, hey, Zinni, do you think Al Davis should have left the Raiders with a mark? I think he should have went somewhere else. No, he treated. There's a way. I think, since you asked, Patrick, I think there's a way you treat your son. I think he did it the right way. I think to do it any other way would have been not good. All right. Patty Lee says Patrick Mark makes his son. Yeah, and Crawford says Rodriguez Teresa would not dare that to Boss Man. And let's see here. And Big Eightful says he should have left the team to Amy Trask. Yeah, he should have. I don't know, what happened with that. He should have left the team to Amy, but he didn't. And there we go. I don't quite know what happened between Mark Davis and Amy. That item of knowledge is a bit of a blind spot, to me. So, and Patrick says family isn't always the right choice. No, it's not. It's not always the right choice. Okay, so let's go over the agenda, folks. I talked about that. All right, so now we've got call to order, public comment period, and then the approval of the agenda with the inclusion of any emergency items and deletion of any items. And then there's the chairman and committee comments. And I think here's my prediction. Hey, Mom, everybody says hi. They saw you. I told her. But anyway, item 4, agenda item 4 is the one to watch, because here's why: the leak issue. Now, what do I mean? Oh, by the way, Barry Lee, can you tweet this out with a hashtag Raiders, hashtag NFL, please? I did. Yeah, I did say hi to Mom. I did wave hi. She thought she could sneak in without being seen. But that wasn't the case. So at any rate, I think that here's the deal. And as far as agenda item 4, Adam Kennedy, who writes for the Las Vegas Sun, was the recipient of a leak. Someone, I think I know who, all right, leaked to him a copy of the draft of the joint use agreement. so that he would specifically put out that bad news. And I believe I know who that was, as speculation. I think it was, I'm just going to say out on a limb, I really believe that this was Steve Sisolak trying to control things. The county commissioner, who may be the next governor of Nevada, who has knowing, I'm not going to claim to know Steve. I'm not going to be so cavalier or bold as to say that. But I believe that he is quite upset with how he believes the Raiders are treating UNLV, and he's trying to send them a message. And so he leaked that. And the reason why I say that is because every time I've turned around, there's been one person who's driving the message on here as much as they can through the press or through their own statements, and that's Sisolak. And this would fall right into that pattern, all right? So I think agenda item 4 is going to give Stephen Hill a chance to address that leak issue. And I really do. I really do. So, oh, hey, thank you, Barry Lee. Thank you very much. And Patrick says, Barry, if family doesn't have the talent, go to someone you can trust. And, you know, Amy is an example of a warrior. She is a true warrior for a cause. And speaking of, from the perspective of a guy who's a warrior for a cause, the problem with people like Amy and I is we put our heart and soul into something that we don't completely own, and at the end of the day, we're not fully rewarded for it. And I think that's what happened to Amy. And Amy was so much a part of the radio organization for so long that I'm speculating that when Mark Davis came in, I think she probably believed that she was more powerful than Mark by confidence, not by statement. I'm not at all speculating that she disrespected Mark. No, but Amy is confident, and I think that at a level may have been threatening to Mark Davis. And I believe that's what happened. Now, is that a sad state of affairs? Absolutely. Unquestionably. Okay? Because then, basically, Mark replaces Amy with a guy that he says he was a ball boy with, Mark Bedane. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? It tells you that he put as his number 2 someone that he has a relationship with that goes back to when they were kids or younger. He didn't have that with Amy. That's all you need to know about the difference between Mark Davis and Amy Trask's relationship and Mark Davis and Mark Bedane's relationship right there. There it is, okay? So, Steve Sisolak. Hey, Ruben. Steve Sisolak is an unofficial Packers fan. Richard Lucero. Yes, Zinni, I saw that video with Mark and Grizz and that fine-looking lady reporter from Fox. Yes, that's right. Yes, she's a great lady. And yeah, that's what I'm talking about now. And I'm glad you mentioned that, Mr. Lucero, because prior to that video was when that whole thing happened. I'm glad you saw that. Absolutely. Maniac says, do you believe if the Raiders have gone 3-13 the last season instead of 12-4, we would be having the same conversation about moving the team? Yes, I do. Patrick M. Blackman. Maybe Mark wanted to cut off anybody from Al's regime. Hey, can you explain that? When you say that, Patrick? You know, that does make sense. And it goes back to something that Mark Davis said to me in Atlanta at the, thank you for your investment, by the way, in Atlanta in 2014 in Buckhead, when I was talking about Ezra Rapport, and he said, I don't want to hear about the past. So maybe there's maybe that was a door that opened into what you're talking about. You know, I don't know. And so, he wants new people. Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying, Mr. Blackman. But whoa. Here's why I say they're not new people. because Bourdain's been there for 25, 26 years. Mark Bourdain and I have a relationship that goes back so far that it's hey Debbie, how you doing? Hi. Kook Snipe says, Maniac, we're very passionate about our Oakland Raiders, and no matter if they're 0-16, yeah. Kook Snipe is right. Kook Snipe is right. But I don't think that's what he's saying. I think he's talking about from Mark's perspective, Kook Snipe. I don't think he's talking about from the Raider fan perspective. Now, there is I'm not going to get him. I have a 1995 media guide, and Mark Bourdain and I go back that far with respect to the Raiders. I was a Raiderette judge from 97 to 98. You heard that correctly. I've said it before on this show. I was a Raiderette judge. So Mark and I have a great deal of history. My point is that Mark Bourdain is not at all new to the Raiders. And this gets to your point, Mr. Blackman, not at all new to the Raiders. So I don't think it was a matter of new people. I think he just wanted to have people around that he was comfortable with. And he wasn't comfortable with Amy for whatever reason. So, Rick Rice says, you the man. Hey, you could thank Aldo Casal for that one, okay? The one claim to fame I have, for those of you who might think, oh, you cat or whatever. No. I always selected as the top-ranked Raiderette candidate the ones who were, if they had the lawyer jobs, they were tall and athletic. I picked the more they looked like a strong woman, the more likely they were to get the high pick for me. So hey, I'm a Wonder Woman fan since I was 6. Okay, so no one can say, oh, no, absolutely not. No, very proud of my short tenure as Raiderette judge. So there you go. So I have met John Madden, yes, and Patrick in Blackman says maybe because Amy is a strong woman. Yeah, Amy is a very confident and strong and smart woman. She is, and there are sadly some men who do not know what to do with that to this day, and that's a very sad state of affairs. Not just women, but women too in some circles. So that's a very sad state of affairs when that happens. And again, there's some people who have a hard time knowing what to do with a black guy like me, in this day and age. Fortunately, those numbers are dwindling, but my point is that it doesn't matter if it's me or Amy, there's some people who don't rub that correctly. Now, let me say the other side of that. The other side of that is something I've been told a long time ago by Austin Penny, who is my boss in the city of Oakland. He said, you have to understand, Zenny, how other people slice their bread. And you can have all the answers up here, but if you don't have a great political IQ at the time, it can damage you. And I've learned a lot from my experiences. That's why I'm saying this to you so openly. Being aware of what other people want and how to give it to them and address them is the secret sauce. It really is the secret sauce. So we can talk about, hey, maybe Amy was threatened by Mark, or Mark was threatened by Amy, or what have you. But on the other hand, maybe Amy just didn't know how to handle herself politically to stay in that situation. So, because like I say, I made those mistakes, and I'll openly admit that. I've learned a lot from it, a lot. So just remember, folks, you young folks going into politics, particularly government, having the right answer is only part of the answer. Just letting you know. Let's see here. Big Eightful says, if this blows up, Amy just might get the team after all. How you doing, Big Eightful? Raider Kuko says, are you attending any Raiders games this season? Yes, I am. And it would be too cool to do a live stream tailgating, Raider Kuko. I like that idea. I do. Barry Lee says, is John Madden the same person we saw on TV? He's one person I would have died to meet in person. Yeah, he's the same. It never occurred to me he was anything different. Live stream tailgate would be dope. says Big Eightful. Rick Rice says, this might have already been stated, but what does Amy think about moving to Vegas? She has been largely silent on it. She hasn't given a definitive, outside of saying, it's a business decision and so on. But she hasn't been critical of the Raiders or the city of Oakland from what I've seen. Now, if somebody's seen something different, let me know. Because I haven't seen everything that she said, I'll tell you that. Now, Henry Flores says, Raider Kuko, I'm planning on attending several games. It would be cool all to meet somewhere in the parking lot. Yeah, that'll be cool. I'll set that up. Patrick and Blackman says, maybe some of Al rubbed off on Amy. I like that. Mark didn't want that. That could be. I think that's true. I think that's true. Big Eightful says, I'm good. Kook Snipe says, I'll welcome the Mob Alley. I think we all need to do it at Mob Alley, period. That's ground, that'll be ground zero to meet, okay? What do you say, Kook Snipe, right? So, Barry Lee says, have a good night. Hey, good night, Barry. Thanks for tweeting. Raider Kuko says, God willing, I'm attending all the games. We should plan to go meet up and tailgate together. Zinster's tailgate. I like that. Done. Rick Rice says, see you, Barry Lee. Henry Flores says, yes. I like that. I say yes, absolutely. Yeah. I love it when a good plan comes together. I do love it. I do love it when a good plan comes together. Absolutely. Oh, by the way, so let me go back to the agenda. Godfather Grizz will be there, so come on down. Absolutely. Now back to the agenda real quick. And as I said again, watch for agenda item number 4, because again, Steve Hill, my prediction is he will address the whole leak situation. Okay, and regarding who leaked that information, Adam Candy and so on. All right. Now number 5 is approval of minutes of the last meeting. Number 6 is receive a progress report from staff on items related to the formation of the Stadium Authority, and what that is going to consist of, I don't know. Number 7, I mean, I know in concept, but I don't know in specifics. Okay. Number 7, consider for approval and adoption of the Stadium Authority's 5-year capital improvements plan for fiscal years 2018 to 2022, and direct staff to request that Clark County transmit the approved document to the State Department of Taxation on the authority's behalf. And this way we'll get a view of where the authority is in terms of hotel tax money take and versus their revenue demands. Right now they're in okay shape. I think they're in as good a shape as can be for a tax rate that is at 88 1/100 of 1% when it should be at 1.4%. In other words, my contention is that the project is underfunded. Okay, so now number 8, consider for approval the proposed amendment to the Applied Analysis Professional Services Agreement. That's for Jeremy Aguilo and the other staff with that firm. They have done your person's work, and regardless of how you feel about this project, they deserve to be paid fairly and timely, on a fair and timely basis. So, number 9, receive a status report on the NFL Stadium project. This is going to be a doozy, because then they're going to say receive a report on the Oakland Raiders, from the Oakland Raiders, on the Las Vegas Stadium project development team. Why do I think that somewhere between agenda item 9 and 10 there's a conflict and there's going to be an argument regarding the leak, who's done what, the Raiders? My prediction is that sternum drum is going to be just under the surface. Just my prediction, okay? No, I'm not predicting fireworks or blows, but I'm saying that there's going to be a little tension there that's palpable. This leak should not have happened, and yet it did. And it's going to change things. So, number 11, consider for approval a finding that the Oakland Raiders have demonstrated to the satisfaction of the authority, that they, along with their development team, are able to successfully develop and construct the Las Vegas Stadium project as required by Section 20. That's interesting. So, they should get approval. I would be surprised if they didn't. That should be a slam dunk. I don't see anybody trying to pull the rug out from under them. So next, number 12, receive a progress update on the development of a community benefits plan. Wow. That's where I expect fireworks, because you talk about dragging feet, getting out of the way a provision to make sure that women and minorities get a chunk of their business while the contractors are discussing or taking bids is a horrible position to be in. So I expect some fireworks here. I really do. And so receive a progress update on the UNLV Joint Use Agreement. Fireworks number 3 right there, okay? Or the continuation of fireworks, then public comment, and then 15. So, adjournment. So, folks, there's my prediction. Be in for a long and interesting and fun to watch meeting. And get your popcorn ready. Get your popcorn ready. So, Eric Young says, I can't help but wonder how Ken Stabler would react to the Las Vegas foolishness. Eric, that's the great question of the night. I completely agree. Are you the same Eric Young with the Business Times? Anyway, that's a great question. And I think Ken, you know, again, I don't pretend to know Ken Stabler, although he's one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time. I used to try to imitate his sidearm. You really have that sidearm like this. There's one picture where Stabler was throwing like this, like, right? That's one of those kids, don't try this at home. That hurts. That hurts. And so I think he would say there's nothing wrong with Oakland. Patrick and Blackman says, do you think Sheldon Adelson wants to put up with all this with the NFL? If he's allowed to be owner. And there's still the question whether or not he's really involved. You have to remember that, I know there are people who bristle against on what I just said, but remember, the Senate Bill 1 allows for financial details not to be disclosed. Now, as to what the financial detail is basically the judgment of the Las Vegas Stadium Authority and the managers of this deal. And so they can elect not to tell you that Adelson is involved or that he's been contacted in any way. So we don't really know absent a leak, right? Start looking for leaks. So FTX 168. Now the question is, had Amy remained in charge, we'd be discussing a Vegas move now. I think no. That was quintessentially Mark. And not only that, I believe that, and I'll say this, Amy Trask and Libby Schaff would have gotten along very well, extremely well, to the point where we wouldn't have gotten to this point. I think the lines of communication would have been a lot clearer. The nuances would have been understood. And it would have been a fantastic partnership between two great businesswomen, okay? So, it's for that reason that I say, no, we would not have been. At all, okay? So, I mean, now, having said that, would Amy have issued a threat? Yes. But I think that threat would have been tempered by their relationship. I really believe that. I really believe that. So, oh, hey, Victoria, hold on a second. I'll get to your question in a second. It's Henry Flores. I hope that answers your question, FTX. Henry Flores says, meet at Mob Alley and do the Luca Brasi speech to Grizz. I love it. Oh, my God. I'm honored and grateful that you have invited me to your daughter's wedding on the day of... That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Okay, Victoria, the leak was that the Raiders pitched to UNLV the idea of using the UNLV land. That's the leak, okay? So that's the leak. It's 1:35. I'm going to break at 1:45, folks, and call it a night. So I've got another 10 minutes. So Karen Christensen says, could it be that since the Raiders have not signed a relocation agreement mean that Mark Davis is having second thoughts about moving to Davis? to Vegas? Yes. Well, yes. He wants to see how things are coming together, but also because he hasn't signed it, it means they don't have financing. Patrick M. Blackman says that he won't be. And Eric Young says, but it's not approved. But if it's not approved, isn't that good news for us in Oakland? Yes, it's very good news for Oakland. And then LX9933 says, did the gentleman ever follow up here with what he heard about Adelson's involvement? No, he said he was going to do that the next time. He was just here earlier talking about Jordan. He said he was going to do that the next time he went back. So that's it. So anyway, sorry if you guys hear some crinkling. Sorry about that's not me. I hope that's kind of in the background. But anyway, because I know you guys can hear things, so sorry about that. Okay. Eric Young says, I'm actually left-handed, and I've always, by nature, thrown the football exactly like Ken Stabler. Yeah, it's like that sidearm. It hurts. Okay. LX says, oh, okay. Patrick and Blackman says, when Al passed, do you think businesses were trying to poach the Raiders? They were trying, you mean cities? I don't think it was so much that they were trying to as the Raiders were inviting it. And that was partly Mr. Davis, and then Al, and then Mark took up the baton after Mr. Davis passed. And so, in total, from the city of Oakland's perspective, there has not been an environment of full good faith dealing through it for a long period of time. Okay, a long period of time. So, Patrick Blackman says, when Al passed, do you think the business? Okay, I got that one. And he says, how about the NFL? I don't understand that one in that context. Are you showing the Vegas Stadium Authority meeting? Yes. Yes. We'll be here at Zenny 62 with my rolling commentary and a political background you can't get anywhere else. Bring your friends. Yes. So 1:38. Anybody else before I retire for the evening? Now remember, we got a big day. We've got Greg McConnell at 2 o'clock, Kevin Batchelder at 8 o'clock, and Russell Rivera at 11:30 midnight. Okay, so there we go. We're gonna have Russell for 1 hour, and I'm going to bed. That's it. Busy day in Zenny 62. Oh, by the way, and then we got the Stadium Authority meeting. So let's try that again. We've got Greg McConnell at 2 o'clock. There was Stadium Authority meeting at 4 o'clock. Kevin Batchelder, Comic-Con at 8 o'clock. Russell Rivera talking about We Stand with Oakland at 11:30 midnight, okay? Now, Coog Snipe, I'm out. Oh, you got it, Coog Snipe. Hey, man, if I beat you bowling, it'll be an accident. But fun. So, hey, Jacob P. Jacob P, you show up late. Hey, Zenny, just shut up. Could you give a brief summary of what I missed? Yes. We went over Las Vegas Stadium Authority meeting. We talked about the leak that the Raiders were going to made a pitch to the UNLV to use their land for parking. We talked about the number of different arguments that will come up at the Stadium Authority meeting tomorrow, or if they're not absolute obvious, they'll be just under the surface. And we talked about meeting at Mob Alley as a group sometime during the Raiders season when I'm in town. So yeah, we'll work that out ahead of time. So, and so anyway, we've got an NFL's champion bit. Okay, it's 1:40, and hey, Coog Sniper, you gotta walk the plank. You gotta walk the plank. Jacob P says, you're just that good. I'll watch it all over because it sounds like a great show. Thanks for the summary too. Hey, Jacob, always could, by the way, for those of you going out, would very much appreciate it. I've said this more than once, and I'll say it again, but love to have you as investors and board members in Zenny 62. So here is the PayPal contribution area right here. If you can, chime in. So when am I coming? Gosh, soon. Contribute. There. So anyway, John Mark says, you can bet your last money is all Stone going to be a Stone Gas Honey, right? Like James Brown, the Godfather of Soul, says, fade me out, I'm gone. I like that one. Actually, I like that one better than the other. Fade me out, I'm gone. Oh boy, oh boy. All right, everybody. Good night, and thank you for stopping by. And whatever you can donate, whatever you can invest, because it is an investment, you will get shares in your report. I've got to update it tonight. Please do. Thank you. Thank you. Peace. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. And help me get as close to the $600 mark by the end of the week as I can. Because yeah, I'm going to do one on a Friday as well. So yeah, usually I don't do Friday, but this time I'm going to do a Friday show. All right. See you guys. See you.